Okay guys, now for the deck list. Here are the monsters. So I play 3 giant rats. Pretty good monster, kind of floats into the next card, which is Pyramid Turtle. Now with Pyramid Turtle, this is basically what you want to see every single turn. But if you can't see Pyramid Turtle, use Giant Rat to get Pyramid Turtle on the field. And Pyramid Turtle is amazing. If you guys remember what it does, when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon any zombie type from your deck with 2000 or less defense, and you have a lot of options to get this card. 2 of the options is you have Roy Koki. This is an amazing card, 2400 beat stick, and again, if they have a spellcaster or warrior type, it just destroys it at the end of the damage step, which is amazing because if you play against people who have Blacklisted Soldier or Chaos Sorcerer, I believe is a spellcaster, this thing just gets rid of it anyway. I mean, this beats over Chaos Sorcerer, but with the BLS or the Blacklisted Soldier, it's quite good to have because it does die, but it does get rid of a BLS as well. And one of my favorite cards of all time, Vampire Lord. This is one of the reasons why I actually play this deck, why I used to have this deck, because of Vampire Lord. So I really like this card. I wish I had the secret rare version, but that's a bit too expensive for me, so I kind of picked this up really cheap. I'm kind of happy with it either way. And then I play 3 Kaiju the Ghost Destroyer. This is just for the Chaos decks out there. It stops people from banishing things from the graveyard, and it's pretty good. It's 1800, it's not too bad. And then you have to play Breaker, the Magical Warrior, 1 Exiled Force, and again with Exiled Force you can actually special summon Exiled Force using Giant Rat, so it's kind of good to get rid of threats, and you're not using a normal summon either, so it kind of floats into it as well. And play the Taurob Infecting Virus. I think this is a staple card. And the last card is a spicy card, one of the techs I use. Essentially it's regenerating Mummy, and all this does is when it's sent from your hand to the graveyard by opponent's card effect, you return it to your hand. So it kind of baits out Delinquent Duo. Hasn't really ever come up that often, but it's a Mummy type and you can summon it with Pyramid Turtle as well. If there was a card I'd cut on this deck list, it'd probably be that, but it did, you know, the idea is there, it does come up at some point. And now for the spell cards, you use 2 Nobleman of Crossout, 2 creature swaps. Again, you creature swap, you've got so many cards you can creature swap with. Essentially the combo is you creature swap either Giant Rat or the Pyramid Turtle, you take their monster, you attack with this card, and then you kind of plus off it. So it's a really good card, and essentially if you can clear their board of weak monsters and they're left with really good monsters, creature swap is really awesome for that. Just remember you can't change the battle position of the monsters the turn you actually use it, so you can't have something in defense mode, creature swap it, and then move it into attack mode. Just remember that's the lock with this card. Now for spell and trap removal, use 1 MST and 1 Heavy Storm, kind of standard, 1 Snatch, 1 Premature Burial, again kind of standard as well. Then you have the Power 3 cards, the Delinquent Duo, the Graceful Charity, and I actually use a Japanese version of Pot of Greed. Now I do have the regular Pot of Greed card, but because I usually just play with friends, we kind of proxy and stuff, so we use Japanese cards, we use different language cards, Italian, someone has a Spanish goat card. I really like the artwork on this Rush Duel cards actually, it looks really cool, it's really shiny. Yeah, and I picked it up really cheap, so I'm quite happy with that. I do have another Pot of Greed if someone gets a bit weird about things, so yeah. And the last card I use is Book of Life. Book of Life is really good against Chaos Control decks. Essentially, you target a zombie in your graveyard and 1 monster your opponent controls, and basically banish the monster your opponent controls and special summon your zombie. So it does help get rid of lights and darks if they're on the Chaos God Control deck. Right, for the trap cards, you have to play 3 Solemn Judgment. Again, stops a lot of things. Now, I also play 2 Trap Dust Shoot. Now, for those of you that don't know what this card does, you can only activate this card if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand. You look at their hand, and then you can choose a monster card and return it to the owner's deck, which is amazing. So sometimes if I have 2 of these, I can essentially activate both of them, and because on activation, the only thing it requires is your opponent to have 4 cards upon activation. You can essentially rip 2 cards out of their hand, and you can also see their hand, which is what this card is for. Now, probably for the most expensive card in my deck, the 2 skill drains. Again, this has gotten cheaper, and it's going to be, or it will be, in the Majestic Maven set. So when I've recorded this is pre-Majestic Mavens, but when this video is released, you will have the opportunity to pick skill drain up from Majestic Mavens, and these guys are quite cheap. Play the Mirror Force, the Torrential Tribute, the Raigeki Break, discard a card, destroy 1 card, and Ring of Destruction, and the one Call It Haunted, which is an absolute beast in this deck. That's it for the main deck. It's 40 cards, you don't need to have any more than that. I think this deck works really well in my testing. It does really good against Chaos Control. Not as well as against the stall decks out there, so the burn decks it doesn't do that well against, but I do have a side deck, and this side deck is actually tailored to stopping all of those burn cards and decks. So I've got 2 Morbius, the Frost Monarch. I do have a Spirit Reaper, because the stall card decks essentially don't really attack, they just flip things up. So this is actually really good bait for skill, Snatch, Steal, and other cards. I have the 1 Smashing Ground. If I had 2, I'd play 2, I just don't have to. Play the 2 Scapegoat, the 2 Book of Moon, the 1 Dust Tornado. I have 3 Sakuretsu Armor, and the last 3 of I play is Phoenix Wind Blast, and essentially discard a card, target 1 card your opponent controls, place that on top of the deck. So I usually do this in the end phase, get a card off their field and put it back on top of their deck, which sort of stalls them for that 1 turn. And that's the side deck, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I should be doing some more deck profiles on GOT format. I am looking forward to the old school formats. I'm looking at some Edison cards as well, so if you're interested in Edison format, be sure to like and subscribe and see some of that. Post in the comments below, what was your favorite GOT deck, or what is the GOT deck you're playing at the moment? I'd really like to hear some of your comments on what decks you're playing, and again, if you've got any tips on how to improve this deck, I'd be really happy to read some of those comments. Again, you know, this is a cool format, a alternative to the format right now, and yeah, you know, let's get a community going. I would like to see what you guys are playing, and if you want to play some GOAT, you know, drop a comment and I'll be more than happy to play some GOAT games with you guys. Yeah, thank you.